They were using 찐 Busan 사투리, the real Busan dialect. But I think that's what makes Busan more of my home. Through the dialect, I feel the warm charm that no other city can mimic. Global City Busan. We are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The diplomatic super week for South Korea continues. In major news yesterday, Korea received Washington's nod to build its first nuclear-powered submarine. Most analysts describe this as a diplomatic win for Korea in its long-sought bid to strengthen maritime power amid the constant threats from North Korea. Well, the highlight of this week will culminate today and tomorrow for the 2025 APEC Economic Leaders Meeting. And of course, that meetup between President Lee Jae-myung and his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, is of hot interest as well. So let's kick off this Friday, diving into these important issues. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, October 31st on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. Can you believe it is the last day of October? So yes, indeed, it is October 31st, and it happens to be a Friday. Well, out goes U.S. President Donald Trump, in comes Chinese President Xi Jinping. Kimhae International Airport was the site of this massive meetup between the world's two superpowers, which we'll cover later on this morning. But for now, we're going to focus on South Korea-China relations. This visit by the Chinese president could be a watershed moment for bilateral relations, as this is the first visit by Xi in 11 years. And this past decade has been a tumultuous one between Seoul and Beijing on political, economic, and cultural fronts. The cooling, or some may say even freezing, of South Korea-China relations started with the deployment of THAAD. Do you remember this? The Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, anti-missile systems. That was back in 2016. But now experts are hopeful that these frozen relations may thaw significantly with President Xi Jinping's visit. President Xi is set to meet with major Korean corporate leaders while he's in the country, and Beijing has been sending some signals here as well. Chinese state media outlets have described this visit as a meeting with a close neighbor whom you can't move away from. Yes, indeed. It's that kind of a relationship. And the Chinese ambassador to South Korea, Dai Bing, also wrote an op-ed piece saying that this bilateral relationship has entered a key phase where unless it moves forward, it recedes. So on South Korea's front, we do see a rise. We've been seeing this rise in anti-Chinese sentiment, which could be a challenge in relations moving forward. So how much moving forward will the two countries achieve during the next few days? We're going to have to wait and see. And of course, we're going to report all the details as they come along. And now it's time for our text topic. So are you ready? Here we go. How does your workplace communicate? What platforms do you use? Is it common in your field to contact each other or workers after hours? 자, 우리 회사 커뮤니케이션 어떻게 하나? 그리고 퇴근 후 연락 온다 versus 안 온다. It's very different. It does depend on the industry and also the company culture. So we want to get your input all the little details. Some people saying already, 퇴근 후 연락 옵니다. 많이 옵니다. 아유, 좋아요. 하지만 저도 많이 합니다. But it really depends on the industry. Here at Morning Wave in Busan, we try not to send each other like work-related, whether it's chats or messages, unless it's really necessary. But you have to understand, especially when our staff, they're trying to book interviews with experts who are on the other side of the world, it's inevitable. So that's why I'm saying it really does depend on the nature of your job. You can send in your thoughts, your opinions to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM, 부산영어방송, to find our channel. You can subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. From your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk as well. Same thing there, though. You got to add us as a friend first, and to find us, type in BEFM, 부산영어방송. When you add us as a friend, you can send in your messages and photos as well. The ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan, if you're in Busan, via the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Also, excuse me, we're streaming live. I'm not sick, I promise you. There's a little frog in my throat. You can watch it again at your leisure. And also, we have two apps that you can readily download. The BEFM app itself and also the Papang app. Both are free to use. Looking ahead to our morning together. First up, we have Casey for Foreign Press Highlights. That's in hour number 1. Later on in hour number 2, we have An교수님, Professor Andrew Millard for Global Affairs. For our special interview, we're going to talk about AI. The angle today is this: Gen Z workers struggling to communicate without AI. I mean, is it a real thing? Apparently it is, because it says that according to one survey, nearly almost half of Gen Z workers out there now rely on AI to have these conversations, communicate, especially on a professional level. So let's delve into this. That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06 and this is News Overview. Yi Takaichi emphasized cooperation in first meeting. Her counterpart, Sanae Takaichi, in Gyeongju yesterday, where the two leaders agreed to continue improving future-oriented cooperation. APEC summit to begin in Gyeongju today. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung will officially declare the start of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC summit, today in Gyeongju. Top office confirms semiconductor tariff part of U.S. trade deal. The presidential office yesterday clarified that semiconductor tariffs were part of a trade deal struck with the U.S., dismissing remarks by a top U.S. official that said otherwise. Ex-President Yoon appears for trial after 16 absences. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol appeared at the Seoul Central District Court for his insurrection trial yesterday for the first time in 4 months. Trump and Xi come to trade concessions. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping came to an agreement to cut U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports in exchange for easing restrictions on China's rare earth exports during a summit in Busan yesterday. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. So we have Sajin in the studio with us. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. So today is
a good day.
Yes, and The last day of October, I can't believe. So tomorrow we'll be saying Happy November. Let's get our text topic going. In the workplace, obviously we work in the same workplace, but is there a lot of after-hour texting? What's the culture like? And of course, in our field, sometimes there is there isn't like a real definition of what our set hours are, kind of too.
Yes.
So what would you say?
Well, it's for me inevitable to text each other, my producer and me.
Yes.
Because we have to have our item confirmed.
Yes.
And sometimes I get a good compliment. So that kind of lighten up my atmosphere and my mood.
Yes.
And sometimes, it's devastating. But our producer is great.
Yes. She always tries to give constructive feedback because, we're all, learning still, right? Well, we're going to jump into our first topic. There is a growing concern over rising, I guess we would say, foreign-related crimes in Busan's Namgu district, especially around university areas and the one housing or studio housing zones.
Yes, police have teamed up with Korea Southern Power Company or KOSPO to strengthen safety infrastructure. Busan Nambu Police Station says it will launch a new crime prevention project next month in neighborhoods with many foreign residents. As part of the plan, LED guide lights will be installed mainly around Daeyeon Il-dong, an area packed with students and small flats.
Yes, and what will these lights do?
These lights will display information about how to report crimes via 112 hotline and indicate that the area is under intensive police patrol. To make them accessible to international residents, the messages will show up in 4 languages, English, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Nepali. The police hope it will improve safety in crime-prone areas like Daeyeon District and help prevent crimes in a more efficient way.
Right, so this is all about making, of course, all local citizens, which includes foreign nationals and expats, to feel included and also aware. What led to this initiative?
According to Busan Nambu Police Station, as the number of international students has increased, so have crimes like theft, drunken disturbances, and sexual offenses. So the cases involving the 5 major crimes, murder, robbery, theft, sexual assault, and violence, rose 45.8% between January and July compared with last year.
Yes, well, that is quite a jump. And, Namgu, it's known to have a very high in terms of the total population, foreign national population, right?
Yes, as of August, Busan had 56,877 registered foreigners, and 7,296 of them live in Namgu, according to the Ministry of Justice. That's about 300 more than Gangseong-gu district and nearly 8 times more than Yeonjae-gu district, which has the fewest.
I see. But from what I understand, funding, that was an issue before?
Yeah, there had been growing demand for improved safety, but the project was stalled due to the lack of funds. That changed when the KOSPO donated 10 million won on October 29th. An official said since Daeyeon-dong is foreign students' highly density area, it demands meticulous security management. By establishing a strong partnership between the police and KOSPO, they are keen to expand the safety infrastructure and prevent crimes effectively.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that, the local companies are getting involved in community safety, so it's a good thing. Well, thank you for reporting on this. Next up, let's talk about some major news for Busan's creative scene. The city is gearing up as the official world design capital for 2028, right?
Yes, Busan, which was named the World Design Capital for 2028, is launching its organizing committee and starting full-scale preparations. The launch ceremony was held yesterday with about 400 people attending, including Mayor Park Kyung-jun.
And so when you think about this, we've talked about this before. I remember we were congratulating each other as Busan being chosen. So this is the city's first official step since winning the title, correct?
Spot on. The launch of the organizing committee marks the Busan's first formal step since being selected. It will act as a collaborative platform that brings together the private sector, government, industry, and academia.
Indeed. And so tell us more. Yes?
It will oversee and coordinate the 2028 World Design Capital Busan project.
Okay.
And will be a central driving force to realize Busan's design vision. The committee will also appoint 4 representatives of the future Busan Design Group, who will lead efforts to promote design culture and support the city's sustainable development.
Right.
They plan to recruit 360 city members to take part in a wide range of activities, from proposing design-related agencies, programs to joining design campaigns, and promoting the project online and offline.
Right, so that's the organizing committee. And starting with the launch ceremony, what will the city do?
They will work with the World Design Organization, WDO, between 2026 and 2028 to run 7 mandatory programs along with local specialty and citizen-led design project. Mayor Park Kyung-jun said being chosen as the World Design Capital 2028 marks the beginning of grand journey to reshape our city's future.
And of course, we look forward to learning more details about this as it approaches. All right, next up, Busan is strengthening its international logistics network, and this time with visits to China and Russia to explore Arctic shipping routes.
Yes, Busan City and Busan Economic Promotion Agency announced that they had sent the Busan logistic delegation to Hunchun, China, and Vladivostok, Russia from 21st to 27th is to strengthen cooperation with local government and logistic companies. The goal was to explore a new route through the Arctic and boost logistics in Northeast Asia.
Yes, so that's quite a major mission. Who was part of this delegation?
It includes officials from Busan City, the Busan Economic Promotion Agency, the Korea Maritime Institute, and other logistic companies. In Hunchun, they toured major logistic hubs, then had talks with city officials. And through these discussions, they strengthened logistic cooperation.
I see. And after that, they went on to Russia, correct?
Yes, in Vladivostok, they held a forum where port officials and logistic experts discussed ways to cooperate on developing new Arctic ship route. During the visit, Leona Shipping Air, one of the delegations, signed a logistic cooperation agreement with Russian company called Tria DV.
Yes.
They also discussed broader areas like youth exchange programs, reciprocal logistic missions, and cultural and sporting exchanges.
Yes, so that's what happened as a delegation went to, once again, Hunchun, China, and Vladivostok, Russia. All right, next, if you are looking for something lively this coming weekend, yes, Gwangbok-lo in Junggu, it's going to turn into kind of like a huge, like gigantic street stage, right?
Yes, on November 1st, so tomorrow and 2nd, the street of Gwangbok-lo in Junggu will be transformed into a vibrant street performance stage for the Busan Street Festa in Gwangbok. The event runs from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. with free, open to all performances across multiple spots along the street, offering a mix of music, dance, and comedy. It's designed to give both locals and international visitors a taste of Busan's charm through performance tourism in the city's historic downtown.
Ooh, well, let us know about the music lineup. Who's coming?
Sure, you will hear live performances at the Jazz Promenade concert, the balcony music show, and an experimental sound performance.
Okay.
There will also be a tap dance shows and a K-pop flash mob. Comedy lovers can catch global mime show which transcend language barriers and an open-air comedy performance.
And I hear there are performances for families as well?
Absolutely. There's a blend of acrobatics and pole dance called City Circus, the traditional mask play, and the bubble art show. There's a parade on the first night as well. It kicks off at 8 p.m. on November 1st. You will see a dazzling mix of costumes and live performances. And near the main entrance, you will find a flea market with face painting, craft booth, and plenty of food stalls.
Ooh, sounds like the city is really trying to connect with this wider season of festivals, correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Busan's promoting the event as part of the Busan 1 Month Festival, aiming to draw more visitors and boost local performance tourism. And that month-long festival runs through November across small theaters in the city. For full details, just check out the Visit Busan website or the official channel.
Yes, so thank you for going over all the local news. And of course, we'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Sajin.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay, and now let's get to your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning Wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now 7:19. Here's your traffic report. There's an accident on Luno Samsung-daero going towards Shinho Bridge right before the Myeongji underpass, so please be aware of that. It's congested on the Dongso overpass from Pomnukgo ramp to the old Gaegeum tollgate. It's backed up on Chungnyeol-daero from Minam intersection to Mandak Tunnel number 2. It's also congested on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baekyang Tunnel, and that top portion of the Gwangan Bridge. Yes, it is backed up. Currently, it is 14 degrees Celsius under partially cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 19 today. Warmer, across the nation with rain forecast for the central and Jeolla regions. Looking ahead to the weekend, crisp, clear fall weekend with morning lows in the low 10s for both tomorrow and Sunday. The daytime high tomorrow will go up to 19, but on Sunday, the high will just go up to 16. And this was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley here. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I got to ask you, and it's kind of weird asking because I already know the answer. But,
But I don't know. Do you?
do you? So after hour texting, is it a thing for your work?
You know how every workplace has that villain who just does not understand the concept of boundaries and what after hours is? Is me. She is I and I am her. And yeah. Yeah. That's it. I'm just going to own up to it. Yeah, it's me. 미안합니다.
see the pause? It's
예. 미안합니다. 예. 뭐 어쩌겠어요.
While you were like writing up that text topic, what were you thinking?
I was like, self-awareness. I'm like, yeah. Well, again, every workplace has to have that person, It's me.
더워요, 정말 더워요. It's kind of hot in here.
Yeah, I mean, news happens. What are you going to do? And then sometimes it's not news, but yeah. Sometimes it's other news, but it's news nonetheless.
Yes, it is. Well, we're going to dive after that confessional. We're going to dive into our top stories. Our first story from the APEC summit. We're going to dive straight into the first summit between Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi.
Right, so this was the first meeting between the two leaders. It came just 9 days after Sanae Takaichi took office. Lasted a little over 40 minutes, 41 minutes to be precise, where the two leaders reaffirmed their stance to keep improving bilateral cooperation and continue this shuttle diplomacy. So this all started at 6 o'clock at the Gyeongju Hwabaek Convention Center. And from the beginning, the two leaders showed small signs of respect towards each other's culture. So for example, President Lee Jae-myung greeted Prime Minister Takaichi in Japanese. And Prime Minister Takaichi, when she was going to her seat, she passed by the Korean flag, at which point she stopped and bowed to it before turning to the Japanese flag and bowing next.
I see. So how was the overall mood of the meeting?
I mean, as you could tell from those small gestures that are not quite small, it was cordial and very friendly all around. The two determined to make that friendship stick.
Yes.
With exchanges of congratulations. And President Lee called for the two neighbors, and he said these countries have a lot in common to boost future-oriented cooperation in this rapidly changing political and trade climate.
Yes.
He also took note of Takaichi being the first prime minister in Japan, saying this was significant. Takaichi, for her part, said that it will be mutually beneficial for the two countries to develop bilateral relations in a future-oriented and a stable manner. And she also marked this year being the 60th anniversary of the two countries normalizing and reopening diplomatic ties. And also emphasized the importance of the trilateral South Korea, U.S., and Japan relations.
Yes.
The two leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to continue visiting each other, the so-called shuttle diplomacy. President Lee noted that as Takaichi is in Gyeongju, it's now his turn to visit Japan next. And and suggested that he meet her, in a city that's other than the capital of Tokyo. That, by the way, is something that even her predecessor, Ishiba Shigeru, they tried to do in this kind of pan-regional approach away from the capital.
Yes, yes. So were there any mentions of historical issues?
Not directly, which, as you can tell, is the whole point. So President Lee went about this in a more of a roundabout way, said that as two countries that share the same front yard and are too close, sometimes you emotionally hurt each other, as family can do. And Takaichi expressed her agreement. President Lee further added that if there are problems and tasks, these should be approached separately. So problems alluding to the past historical issues, tasks being future cooperation.
Yes, yes. So that was a meetup once again between Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Japanese Prime Minister. Now we're going to go to the meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Right. So the leaders of the two of the world's biggest economies met in Busan at the Kim Airport yesterday, specifically at Naremaru. From the get-go, it was cordial. Everyone was polite, but a little tense. President Trump, shaking Xi Jinping's hand, said, "You're a very strong negotiator, and that is not good for me." Interestingly, Trump actually arrived at Naremaru before Xi Jinping, which if someone's late, it's usually President Trump, just from past, and waited for him at the photo line. Actually, President Trump's Marine One, the helicopter, arrived about 45 minutes before the summit was due to start.
Okay.
Xi responded for his part by mentioning Trump's mediation in the war in Gaza, saying that President Trump is serious about world peace and has serious interest in many of the world's hotspots. Xi said that China was ready to work with the U.S. and that China's development vision aligns with those of Make America Great Again, or MAGA.
Yes.
The closed-door summit lasted for about an hour and 40 minutes, or roughly 100 minutes, which is shorter than what a lot of pundits had anticipated, seeing as how heavy the agenda was. And then after the meeting, President Trump walked President Xi Jinping to his vehicle, and actually the two were talking until the very end. At this point, the two separated, President Xi to Gyeongju and President Trump back to Washington.
So do we know what the two leaders talked about?
Right. So immediately after he boarded Air Force One, President Trump spoke to reporters on board, claiming that the two leaders came to a conclusion on many important points. He assessed in a very Trumpian manner that the meeting was 12 out of 10.
Oh.
Was it? Well, I'm not going to give you any specific figures, but it didn't really come to any conclusions, but a further of that ceasefire in the trade war. So first, in terms of visits, President Trump said he would visit China next April, and President Xi will reciprocate the visit, whether that be in Florida or D.C. The top issue, of course, between the two countries in the recent months has become this rare earth minerals issue. China putting export restrictions on these key minerals, that became a major sticking point.
Yes.
So according to President Trump, China has agreed on a 1-year deal to supply rare minerals. So they're deferring the restrictions by 1 year. Trump said he expects the deal to be expanded. We will have to see about that. And to quote President Trump, quote, "All of the rare earth has been settled. The roadblock is gone now. But again, I do need to remind you that's only for a year."
I see. And this was not the only sticky issue between the two superpowers.
Absolutely not. So another long-standing point is drugs, specifically fentanyl. According to President Trump, the two leaders agreed that China would work very hard on the fentanyl issue. He said that the 20% fentanyl-related tariffs on Chinese goods will be reduced to 10% effective immediately. So on the offside, so for the other side, China would basically work to block the export of chemicals to Latin America that's used in Latin America to produce fentanyl.
Sure.
Let's go to some other issues. The tech side, semiconductors, definitely an area where the two areas are vying for global dominance. The U.S. has blocked China from buying chips from NVIDIA, or the high-power chips from NVIDIA. So Trump said that he and Xi discussed the issue, but that U.S. has more of an arbiter or referee stance between them. So it was a little bit more avoidant than anything being resolved. Also, Trump said the Chinese purchase of soybeans will resume immediately. This has been actually one of the more contentious issues in the trade war, as China has been a buyer of billions of dollars worth of American soybeans every year, but that's dropped to virtually zero, and that's really hurt farming communities in the U.S.
Right.
However, in return for all of this, Trump said that the general tariff set on Chinese goods will be reduced from the current 57% to 47%, so a 10% cut.
I see. Well, what about geopolitical issues?
Right, so expanding this from the U.S. and China immediately, two major points have always been Taiwan and then now Ukraine.
Yes.
From the get-go, the two leaders avoided talking about Taiwan at all when even asked point blank by reporters. And Trump said that Taiwan just never came up. As for Ukraine, the issue did come up, and President Trump said that the U.S. and China are going to work together on it to stop people being killed. However, it doesn't seem like they're going to be taking any active intervention because, again, to quote President Trump, the two sides, referring to Ukraine and Russia, are locked in fighting. And sometimes you've got to let them fight, I guess. Crazy, unquote.
Yes. All right, well, we're going to go to our final story. We're going to go to the U.S. where the prolonged government shutdown is threatening some key welfare programs.
Right, so it is Thursday local time in the United States, and as of Thursday, the government shutdown is on day 30. So this makes it the second longest government shutdown in U.S. history, the longest being by just 5 days, 35 days in 2018.
Yes.
So this means because the federal budget isn't going out, a lot of the federal workers are on what's called furlough, unpaid leave. I mean, they're having difficulty making ends meet.
Right.
And also even non-federal workers, the vulnerable population, because several programs, including food stamps, are at risk of getting cut or running out of funding starting November 1st. So that's in 2 days. So this is called SNAP. It stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's to provide food for low-income families. So the logistics is that the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, oversees SNAP, but they're saying that they're not going to use what they have an emergency contingency fund to continue the program because they need to reserve it for emergencies, referring to natural disasters. So according to American outlets, there are 42 million Americans who benefit from SNAP, and that's 1 in 8 people.
Yes. And actually, some U.S. states have actually sued the Trump administration.
Right, so this lawsuit is led by Democratic attorneys generals in 25 states and also Washington, D.C. And basically, the point is the use of the contingency emergency fund, saying that not using it would be unlawful and deprive millions of Americans from basically eating. So responding to the lawsuit, the USDA actually blamed Democrats for letting the fund run dry. A federal judge in Boston indicated Thursday that she will intervene and work quickly to resume or issue this emergency use of the funds.
Okay.
However, by the way, this won't be enough, only covering 60% of what's needed. But many states are apparently working with people in the SNAP program to try to get them to locate charity food pantries and find alternative sources.
Yes. So that's happening in the U.S. right now. Thanks for going over all the top stories, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, now it's time for our first song break of this Friday, this last day of October. We have a song request from Michael Kim, and this is 전할 수 없는 이야기 by Huisong.
나 너를 사랑하나 봐 아주 오래전부터 이 말 전해주고 싶어서 이 말을 하고 싶어서 오늘도 내 주위를 하루 종일 맴돌고 있어 이런 나의 마음을 조금이라도 혹시 네가 알아줄 수만 있다면 Someday I'll show you all my mind 항상 내가 있었다고 언제나 너 머물러 지내는 곳에 Just let me cry for you tonight 아무 말 못하는 내가 네 곁에 있다는 그것도 모르는 널 위해 언젠가 나를 보면서 웃어주던 네 모습 떠오를 때 너무 좋았어 나를 향한 미소가 아니었는데 마치 내 맘 말아주는 것만 같아 Someday I'll show you all my mind 항상 내가 있었다고 언제나 넌 머물러 지내는 곳에 Just let me cry for you tonight 아무 말 못하는 내가 네 곁에 있다는 그것도 모르는 널 위해
제발 내 미소 그대가 느껴와주면 좋을 텐데
내 사랑이 너에게 부담일까 걱정스러워 언제나 머물러 지내는 곳에 Cry for you tonight 내가 네 곁에 있다는 그것도 모르는 널 위해 내 맘도 모르는 널 위해
That was a nice song, a song request from Michael. Speaking of which, his response to our text topic today, by the way, if you're just tuning in right now, our text topic is this. Your work culture. Is there a lot of texting after hours? Are there set hours? Is the question. Well, Michael says, 저희 회사는 공공기관이어서 그런가 퇴근 시간 이후에는 연락은 거의 금기시 되어 있는데요. 저는 여기 조인하기 전에 4기업을 다녔던 경험이 있어서 팀원들에게 종종 톡을 합니다. So basically, he's saying right now he works for a public institution. So therefore, after hours, there's very limited, I guess, texting going on. Before he used to work for a private corporation where I guess there were texts after hours. Benny says, my workplace before we communicated via Zoom, but after hours we didn't communicate much. So it really does depend on which industry you work in, though. That is what I keep on saying over and over again. Tommy checking in with us saying, if there's a place where they don't have after-hour texting, tell me where it is. I want to go there, is what he says. Really? You want to, jump ship? I'm sure you're saying it, tongue-in-cheek, but nonetheless, those are some of your messages. And I want to give a shout out to 최윤정님, who also, she's just chiming in saying that she's been quite busy these days, that she can't tune in to the entirety of Morning Wave in Busan, but of course her heart belongs to us. So that's such a sweet, sweet comment. We're going to get into Foreign Press highlights. It's time for Foreign Press highlights. We have Casey here. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, I think I'm good. I was thinking about the messages after work.
And?
Do you want to ask my opinion?
Yeah. Well, not your opinion. Like for your work, are there after-hour texts?
Oh, don't include my opinion. Okay.
Okay,
yes.
and include your opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
But it depends. Like working here, it kind of makes sense. You might get messages anytime. Like if there's a story that's interesting, if it's going to be like something you're going to talk about tomorrow.
If there's like breaking news, if there's something that has to be said.
And those are like actually helpful for me.
So you don't mind those?
No.
Okay.
But the ones where somebody comments on a chat, from like 5 days ago from my other job, where somebody clearly just read something, way late, and was like, "Oh, here's my opinion" at midnight. It's like, You get those?
Actually, for a school, there's like 99 people in our chat room. So there is a strict policy.
Oh, really?
Don't comment unless you have to. And if there's anything like even like congratulatory, they're like keep it with the the simple pushing of the basic
reaction buttons.
reaction buttons.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it. So unless there really is something to be said,
Oh,
because can you
man,
imagine?
I wish we had that.
I have the alert off.
Yeah.
Oh, was I not supposed to say that? But
I'm with you, by the way.
But I check every
Yeah.
day. I do check once a day. But with 99 people in the chat room, there's got to be certain rules, right?
Yeah, that's great that they actually had the wherewithal to say that. Whoever did that for you.
The person, the admin, they're good about it.
That's cool.
So unless it's an emergency, like there's a fire, there's like many emergencies.
Sure, that happens.
Yes.
Yeah, like maybe you have a notification about a sudden class canceled or whatever. Sure.
Right.
Important stuff, yeah.
Yes. So let's dive in, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Okay.
I figured we would be talking about the APEC conference in some regard this week because, that's big news. It's constantly generating highlights and headlines. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about it. But I didn't think it would be for this reason. This is from Reuters, and the headline is BTS rapper calls for no borders, no limitations at Asia Pacific Trade Forum.
I'm glad you're covering this story.
Oh, cool.
The reason why is because we briefly mentioned that RM, spoke, but
many people mentioned it.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that we didn't really
headline.
delve into it because there were so many like hard news stories. Not
Right.
that he isn't news, but I'm just saying there were so many facets of APEC going on. So I'm glad you're covering this.
Cool. Well, to give you kind of an idea, this is like right off the beginning, right at the beginning of the story. They say the leader of South Korean boy band BTS RM said diversity without borders was the source of the creativity behind the group's worldwide success. And, this is all happening as Asia Pacific leaders gathered in his home country for a trade forum overshadowed by protectionist worries. So they kind of succinctly put it there in one little sentence.
Hey, this is from Reuters, not from us. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And they mentioned it a couple times. Have you actually seen the video of his speech?
I've only seen snippets.
Me too.
Yeah,
And
I didn't watch the entirety, I'll be honest.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure how long it was in total, but this article, as well as many others, do have like a 1 minute to 2 minute like highlight.
Yes.
And basically, he does stress in it that he is speaking as an artist, and is quite clear because of the language that he uses. But he is talking to people at a business event, and there were some of the biggest names, and are some of the biggest names in the business world. They're present.
Yes.
And it's probably not a coincidence that he phrases it that way. And according, again, to Reuters, South Korea is betting on cultural exports to support its economy at a time when traditional manufacturers face growing protectionist barriers.
Yes.
And they do mention in this article that President Lee has pledged support for the K-pop industry to make his nation a global cultural powerhouse. So, there's basically a lot of thought being put into cultural exports.
Yes.
And we've talked about this in many articles before that have detailed exactly how much money even just RM's band BTS has contributed to Korea's economy and also image abroad and attracting people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the word protectionism,
Yes.
I hear it popping up. I'm not just imagining this, right?
You're not.
Okay.
And it's kind of an interesting contrast to hear, RM talk about this in front of this big business group. He says, quote unquote, K-pop's shiny success is proof that cultural diversity and creativity are the greatest human potential. Of course, he says, his words, not mine, of course, no borders, no limitations. And then, of course, in the same article, Reuters does point out earlier in the same day, the forum was addressed by U.S. President Donald Trump and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, who then met nearby for tariff talks.
Yes.
So as, he's talking about no borders, no limitations, a lot of the discussions at APEC are concerning borders and limitations.
Look at the juxtaposition of the two, about no borders, no limitations, and then we're talking about tariffs.
Specifically,
yes, protectionism.
Right.
Yes.
So it's obviously, I think that was a big point of the article, is to point out the contrast there.
Yes. So does he explain, what does he mean by the whole no borders thing, though?
Yeah, he actually kind of breaks it down a little bit, and you can see this in the video clip accompanying the article. He says that not only his group's success, but K-pop's success in general is due to crossing borders and breaking down barriers, as he says. In the video clip, he mentions that K-pop success didn't happen because one single culture was better. K-pop's success came from respecting diversity and embracing world cultures, but still holding on to Korea's unique identity. And I
like that it came from the mouth of RM, though, because I feel like BTS has gone, to such great lengths to talk about things like that, to being true to yourself and like the whole image and the messaging they have to their fans. And, you know, it's not just teenagers that are obviously fans of BTS. I mean, full-fledged adults really enjoy their music, but also the messaging.
Well, and as you're pointing out, like it's not just all ages, it's all cultures. And that's kind of his point again and again. And I was kind of thinking like he could be referring to two sides of this when he's talking about, you know, diversity and embracing world cultures. Do you think he's more referring to his actually the fan side of K-pop? Or do you think he's actually also referring to, in a way, perhaps the K-pop industry side being aware of being accepted by a culture? I was thinking the same thing.
Two-way street, right?
Yeah, so not only on the artistic side and the connection side with fans, but also on the business side. If you want to have this kind of success, you maybe have to be prepared to be accepted by a kind of diverse fan base, right?
Yes, yes.
There you go.
So that is one facet of APEC. So thanks for focusing on this.
For sure.
We definitely appreciate it. Let's move on to our next story, though. What's this one about?
Sure. I actually think this is very related to RM's speech in a way and the whole APEC scenario in general. And it's actually a very pointed question from the BBC.
Yes.
Should K-beauty products have to come from South Korea?
But this is so similar to is K-pop like... What is K-pop? Like, is it only is there like a minimum, like a one Korean member of the group has to, you know, it's like so many questions.
Sure.
So
and I think
don't know about this one.
Okay, I'm glad you say I don't know, because my first thought when I saw the headlines, like, duh, yeah, but then I was like, well, I don't know. Does it really? And there actually does seem to be a divide on whether borders are literally important when it comes to K-beauty. And of course, why is it a big deal? Because just like BTS, this industry makes a whole lot of money. They point out in this article that according to official figures, annual exports from South Korea of K-beauty products increased from $650 million in 2011 to just 6 years later, $4 billion.
Wow.
So that's like a six-fold rise, as they say in British English. And now, you know, just last year, exports from South Korea have hit $10.3 billion. So in the meantime, as it's going on, the article is kind of pointing out that other countries at the same time and other companies in other countries have introduced their own K-beauty ranges that are not Korean-made. So should they still be allowed to be called K-beauty products is the question.
This is such a sensitive issue because I was thinking about this as you were talking. And, you know, but it's K-beauty. I've seen similar articles where there are certain companies that are not based in Korea.
Right.
Their founding members are not Korean or have any, you know, they're not ethnically Korean or have any ties to Korea per se. So I don't know. Do we call those products K-beauty inspired? Or is it okay to just call them K-beauty products? It's like the question in my head, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what is the you know, what are
What's the
tenets?
cutoff? Yeah.
What are the tenets of K-beauty? Like, how can we say?
Okay, they give an idea of that in the article. I wanted to put this to you because I might be a little bit unaware of this.
Okay.
So they say in the article, the K-beauty skincare regime can be very elaborate.
It can be.
Involving as many as 10 different steps, each requiring a
Is
separate
that you being
product.
mind-boggled?
Did you see? My head exploded. I have a hard time getting her ready in the morning as it is. I can't imagine adding 10 different steps to that, each requiring a separate product. This caught the imagination of people around the world and sales rose sharply. That's how they kind of summarize it in the BBC article. Would you say, is that a big part of what K-beauty is?
I don't think it's necessarily only about the steps.
Okay.
Like and the K-beauty to me is very trendy, meaning the trends change pretty quickly.
Oh, we talked about that recently. Yeah.
Right. So like, you know, right now it's all about the PDRN and then the glass skin.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. What'd you say? PDRN.
And the salmon infused, you know, etc. And like having like the glass skin, and then for a while it was all about being, you know, really, really glass-like skin, but also, you know, like, you know, and then like every season is different. Is it matte, semi-matte, or is it like glossy finish? And Casey is just like, what?
Yeah, I thought we were talking about cars for a second. All right, question.
Yes.
That just popped into my head.
Okay.
Do you feel like a lot of these trends are obviously visible in Korean media? Like from movies, TV, you know, famous people. Is that a lot of where?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So
like for example, like a famous star like Kim Hye-soo lately is like the talk of the town.
Okay.
You know, and she's been on many magazine covers. And people like tune in, and like I was even like looking at her photos. I was just like, oh, is that like a new trend? Like the way she's wearing this, or the way she's wearing her makeup. And she obviously went through a lot of like major weight loss, and so everybody's like wondering like, what did she do? Like, what's her diet? You know? So yes, I think people are very much influenced by images.
Okay, and you know what? That actually is kind of related to one comment from a Korean manufacturer whose company is actually based in Finland. Who's
in
kind of
Finland.
Right. So he's kind of defining what he thinks should be K-beauty. He says, okay, you know, everybody on my team is Korean except for my wife. His wife is Finnish, I think. And he said all their products are made in South Korea. But he says the most important thing is we both absolutely agree the brand should develop its concept, its ideas, and products with a Korean perspective.
Yes.
And if you're not connected to Korean culture at large in some way,
like
how can you really know?
How are you going to get that connection, right?
Right.
But this is what I just don't want to happen. Like it's like any company X. And then just slapping on K-beauty something on it, and it having no ties to Korean culture or Korean-based ingredients or just the philosophy of K-beauty.
Right.
Is a worry.
And that leads to customers getting ripped off, basically. So they mentioned that in the article that there's a huge fake industry. And so there's a guy named Mark Lee who's in the U.S. He's got a business that actually his company helps these big firms find fakes, get them removed from the market. He says there's like a 90% counterfeit rate from just a recent test. Yeah, like he said one major Korean beauty brand that he was working for, they recently conducted a test of 29 purchases across major U.S. marketplaces.
And?
26 were fake.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a concern as well. Like, you know, if you're expecting something from somewhere like Parmesan in Italy or champagne in France, right? And you receive something that you didn't pay for, you're going to feel cheated. And
I have a recent experience where I was on Puteng trying to get the PDRN, the pink, you know, salmon, whatever, for the skin, an ampule. And then I read in a different article, they're like, don't buy it through certain vendors. Just go straight to the source because you just don't know. And they're like, you know, over 90% are fake. And I didn't even realize that. I'm like, but they're such a large platform. But they don't go weed through all the companies. So they have no way of knowing if it's fake or not. And then the whole idea of, as our producer pointed out, she's like, you know, well, you know, if there's a product made and it's fake or it's not really K-beauty based, but it could kind of ruin the whole image of K-beauty for a particular segment of people. Right. So that's a real issue too.
For sure.
Well, you know.
Fascinating.
It is.
It's a whole look into a new world for me.
And,
what?
And I appreciate that you are talking out of your comfort zone. By the way, what is your beauty regimen? What regime?
How do I get this natural glow?
Yes. Because I'm asking because many of our male listeners, they're like, they wash their face and some of them don't even put on lotion or sun cream.
I do not. Neither. Am I out? Am I kicked out? Yeah. I don't.
Not even lotion?
No. There's a really funny bit by Bill Burr about that kind of explains
However,
that.
you know, our expert yesterday, we had a doctor on.
Yeah.
He's like, at least just put on the sun cream.
I do when I remember. But I often, I know. I feel like I've got no defense.
We need to talk to your wifey.
Oh, I'll get a lecture. It won't be a talking. It'll be a lecture. Yes.
Waggling. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. You're welcome for the audible shock.
Bringing these stories to our listeners. And of course, we'll check in with you next Friday. Take care, Casey.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Ooh. No skincare. Okay. How about this song for our final song for hour number 1? This is Answer, Love Myself by BTS. We'll be back at 8.
어둠 속 나 심장이 뛰는 소리 났을 때 마주본다 거울 속 너 겁먹은 눈빛 해묵은 질문
어쩌면 누군가를 사랑하는 것보다도 어려운 게 나 자신을 사랑하는 거야 솔직히 인정할 건 인정하자 네가 내든 잣대들은 너에게 더 엄격하단 걸 네 삶 속에 굵은 나이트 이게 또한 너 일부 너에게 이제는 나 자신을 용서하자 break 우리 인생은 길어 미러 속에서 난 미러 겨울이 지나면 다시 봄은 오는 거야
차가운 밤의 시선 초라한 날 감추려 없이 뒤척였지만 수많은 별을 막기 위해 난 떨어졌던가 답은 없을지도 몰라 어쩜 이것도 답은 아닌 거야 그저 날 사랑하는 일조차 누구의 허락이 필요했던 거야 난 지금도 나를 또 찾고 있어 더는 죽고 싶지가 않은 걸 슬프렴을 아프렴을 더 아름다움을 그래 그 아름다움을 있다고 하는 마음을 나의 사랑으로 가는 길 가장 필요한 나다운 일 지금 나 위한 행복 바로 나 위한 행동 나 위한 태도 그게 나 위한 행복 Show you what I got 두렵진 않아 그건 내 존재니까 시작의 처음부터 끝의 마지막까지 해답은 오직 하나 왜 자꾸만 감추려고 말을 비가면 속으로
부산영어방송
랜드로버의 모든 것이 한 곳에 전시장과 서비스 센터가 만나 랜드로버 부산 센텀 컴플렉스 센터로 더 새로워졌습니다. 신차 상담에서 애프터 서비스까지 원스톱 서비스를 만나다 랜드로버 공식 리테일러 HS 효성 프리미어 모터스.
한국전쟁 당시 우리를 먼저 도운 에티오피아 6천여 명의 군인들은 자신들의 월급을 모아 부모 잃은 아이들을 위해 보화원이라는 고아원도 세워주었습니다. 그러나 지금 에티오피아는 위기에 처해 있습니다. 끊이지 않는 내정과 기후재난으로 대부분의 의료시설은 파괴되었고 의약품도 부족해 간단히 치료할 수 있는 질병으로 사망에 이르는 상황입니다. 바로 지금이 우리가 에티오피아에 진 빚을 갚을 때입니다. 지금 전화해주세요. 후원 문의 080-982-0119 국제구조위원회.
기업체 사장님들 아직도 직영으로 식당 운영하고 계십니까? 위탁급식과 도시락 전문기업 더 좋은 푸드에 맡겨보십시오. 운영비 절감 효과 확실합니다. 식대는 협의 후 맞춰드립니다. 지역 부산 경남 051-784-0877 051-784-0877.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
안녕하세요, 개그맨 이상훈입니다. 올스타 잉글리시가 준비한 공개방송 We Are K 드디어 여러분을 찾아갑니다. R&B의 황제 한희영, 우리 김조한씨, 아츠 러블리즈 예인, DJ 페리와 피리 연주자 김지윤의 K-EDM 스테이지, 선물이 빵빵 터지는 다양한 이벤트까지.
All-Star English Everyday Star 신민수입니다. 부기도 오고 날씨 요정도 옵니다, 여러분. K-부산, K-pop, K-sound, a global festival of music, English and culture at We Are K.
동아 인터내셔널 데이와 함께하는 올스타 잉글리시 공개방송 11월 6일 목요일 오후 4시 동아대 부민 캠퍼스에서 만나요.
저 러블리즈 예인이도 함께해요. 모두 함께 만나요. 아츄.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. This is Spotlight News. He and Takaichi emphasized cooperation in first meeting. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung met with the new Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi in Gyeongju yesterday, where the two leaders agreed to continue improving future-oriented cooperation. The two leaders had a friendly first meeting, which lasted for 41 minutes, during which Lee and Takaichi agreed to strengthen bilateral ties and continue the so-called shuttle diplomacy. The two leaders expressed their willingness to separate historical and territorial issues from joint tasks. Takaichi, who has been a staunchly conservative voice in her party, has been increasingly taking a more dovish approach to foreign policy. APEC summit to begin in Gyeongju today. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung will officially declare the start of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC summit today in Gyeongju. He will greet the heads of state or representatives from the 21 APEC member economies, as well as the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates and the managing director of the International Monetary Fund or IMF. Foreign Minister Cho Hyun said yesterday that the foreign and trade ministers held the APEC ministers meeting and are working on fine-tuning the final APEC declaration, potentially to be announced tomorrow. Top office confirms semiconductor tariff part of U.S. trade deal. The presidential office yesterday clarified that semiconductor tariffs were part of a trade deal struck with the U.S., dismissing remarks by a top U.S. official that said otherwise. Earlier in the day, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick wrote on social media that semiconductor tariffs were not part of the trade deal. Presidential spokesperson Kim Nam-jun said that the two nations agreed to apply tariffs at levels not less favorable than those applied to Taiwan, adding that the agreement will be reflected in related documents currently under final review. Ex-President Yoon appears for trial after 16 absences. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol appeared at the Seoul Central District Court for his insurrection trial yesterday for the first time in 4 months. The appearance came on the same day that former Special Warfare Commander Kwak Jong-geun took the witness stand, where he testified that Yoon allegedly told him to break down the door of the National Assembly if necessary to drag out the lawmakers. Former President Yoon refuted this, claiming that he sent the military to the National Assembly to keep order, which former Commander Kwak said was unacceptable. Trump and Xi come to trade concessions. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping came to an agreement to cut U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports in exchange for easing restrictions on China's rare earth exports during a summit in Busan yesterday. China also agreed to take a more proactive role in blocking the export of chemicals used to make fentanyl and to resume purchases of American soybeans, according to President Trump. China, in the meantime, called on South Korea and the U.S. to implement their nuclear non-proliferation obligations in response to Donald Trump's approval for Seoul to build nuclear-powered submarines in the U.S. This was Spotlight News. It's time for Wagga Wagga. We have Haley back in the studio.
Good morning.
Yes, yes. All right. So, with the weather having turned suddenly this week, oh my gosh, it was so cold earlier on. We're hearing a lot of, coughs and sniffles, and this means that cold and flu season is upon us.
It's an echo all around us, which also means that you should be getting your flu and COVID shots. But here's the thing, some medical institutions are already running low. So according to those in the pharmaceutical industry, free COVID and flu vaccines for seniors 65 or older, or those who have compromised immune systems, and or those living or working in infection-prone locations began. According to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, KDCA Chief Im Seung-kwan, he said that COVID variants change each and every year, and therefore it is recommended that seniors and others in high-risk groups be up to date on their vaccinations with the latest vaccine version, advising you to get both the flu and COVID vaccines. And yes, you can get them on the same day.
Yes, but apparently some hospitals and doctors' offices, they have run out.
Right. So one lawmaker's office from Seoul's Songpa-gu district said that from last week, there's been cases of people going back empty-handed without their vaccines. So this year, the government has secured 5.3 million doses of COVID vaccines. And already the KDCA has predicted a shortage because this year's COVID vaccination rate started off at about 4% higher than last year's. So experts point out that under the current supply structure, even a 1% increase in vaccination can actually lead to a shortage.
Yes.
And this year, demand, it's supposed to be higher because among seniors especially who are getting double doses of the flu and COVID vaccines as they're trying to guard themselves against this so-called twin-demic.
Yes.
By the way, the KDCA weekly report shows that COVID-19 is still the very top reason that seniors are getting hospitalized for respiratory illnesses.
Yes, indeed. So definitely, if you can, go get the dual shots. For the better part of this year, emergency response workers have struggled to find spots in emergency rooms, sometimes leading to patients just not making it. And this particular case has come under scrutiny as of late.
Right, so earlier, a doctor at Yangsan's Busan National University PNU Hospital has been found guilty of violating the law in emergency medicine and was fined 5 million won. Why? Because this 34-year-old doctor back then was on duty at the emergency room early in the morning of October 2019 and refused to take in an ambulance that had an unconscious 4-year-old. The hospital was the closest emergency room to where the child was, and also he had gotten a tonsillectomy, 편도 제거 수술, 편도선 제거 수술 earlier, and this is why first responders contacted this hospital, the pediatric ER. But at the time, this doctor said that they had another emergency patient who was receiving CPR, so the first responders had to find another hospital. This happens, except police investigation found that there wasn't a critical patient at the ER at that time.
Oh my gosh, so they lied?
It seems
that
so.
way, right? Okay, so what happened to the boy?
So, in short, the boy didn't make it. He died. The ambulance had to travel some 20 kilometers to a different hospital in Busan. The boy never regained consciousness and was in a coma for months, and he died in March of the following year. So the judge at the Ulsan Regional Court said that the doctor refused treatment without justifiable reason, resulting in the patient missing out on an opportunity for prompt medical care when he was only 5 minutes away from the hospital.
Right.
However, the judge did take into consideration that the ER, while it did not have another critical patient, was full at maximum capacity at the time. To be fair, this case happened back in 2019 before the trainee doctor's walkout, but it does go to show the situation in emergency rooms, especially in regional hospitals. Of course, that's absolutely not an excuse for what happened to the boy. And by the way, the doctor was fined 5 million won for lying. and resulting in this. To that end, however, according to a survey by Democratic Party lawmaker Kim Yoon's office via Chowan CNI that surveyed over 1,000 adults, it revealed that 1 in 10 people have experienced this so-called ER hot potato, where they couldn't get a spot, get a bed in the first emergency room they visited.
Ah, yes. Such a tragic story. All right, up next, let's talk about this. Gyeongnam Police dispatched officers to Gyeongju to help with security at the APEC summit, but some had to be called back for inappropriate behavior. So we need to know about this.
Right, so we're going to talk about some not quite serious, but controversial issues related to APEC in true Waggle fashion.
Okay.
So according to Gyeongnam Police, it had to summon back 5 officers from its Changwon Seobu station earlier this week because they had gotten drunk heavily, very much so, inside the hotel room this past Monday and threw up all over the hotel room. A hotel employee reported this to Gyeongbuk Police, which conveyed what happened to the Gyeongnam Police. Gyeongnam Police said although the officers, yes, they were off duty, however, they will still conduct an audit to find out exactly what happened.
But this is the second time this week that this particular police agency has been under scrutiny.
Right, some more serious issues coming out of the Parliamentary Interior and Safety Committee about what happened specifically with Gyeongnam Police earlier. So there is this one case called the Hadong Patrol Car Incident from last August when a woman in her 40s, she somehow got into the backseat of a patrol car that was parked. She got locked in because it was August and she was inside for about 36 hours, died from suffocation. I mean, nobody put her in there, but the controversy was that there were 4 officers who were on duty when this happened at the station. Apparently, they were sleeping on the job.
Ooh.
Literally. And then second case, Sacheon police faced scrutiny for lax investigation. There was a fatal accident at a rock quarry Taeseokjang site when debris from the work site hit a car and that led to a fatal accident. The police initially just ruled it as just a car accident. And also finally, a teen broke into Gyeongnam Police property and took out a seized motorcycle for a joyride. So there have been some issues perhaps with discipline within that police, and that was under scrutiny at the parliamentary inspection.
Those are some major lapses, though.
Yeah.
All right, continuing with some of the woggle-worthy issues from the APEC summit, U.S. President Donald Trump, he made a faux pas on social media regarding President Lee Jae-myung.
Right.
Yes.
So this was regarding his Truth Social post, talking about the trade deal with South Korea. So at the end of this post that he originally put up earlier, Trump said it was a great trip with a great prime minister, 총리. South Korea does have a prime minister, but that is not whom Trump met with.
Yes.
Of course, South Korea has a presidential system. That post was since corrected.
Okay.
But this was also interesting. The White House itself made the same mistake the previous day. So it was live casting the Korea-US summit and indicated on its live cast that President Trump had a summit with the Korean Prime Minister.
Yes.
So this is in what we consider a diplomatic faux pas or 결례. And these misnomers, they have been there because Trump earlier this month called Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada president. And here's the thing, though. Diplomatically, you just don't point it out. You say, oh, it's fine. And back then, Prime Minister Carney said, hey, thanks for the promotion.
Yes. All right, we're going to end with this very casual dinner last night with some of the most influential business leaders in the world.
In the world and in
Yes.
South Korea. So we're talking about NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. Met with Samsung Electronics chair Lee Jae-yong and Hyundai Motors chair Jung Hee-sun. And if these 3 are meeting, we're thinking 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
If not 6 or 7 stars. But, and I'll say this brand only once, Ganbu Chicken, which is a very casual chicken joint in Gangnam. So it was obviously casual. Everybody was just in. Well, Jensen Huang in his signature leather jacket and t-shirt. Everybody else in t-shirts as well. So before dinner, Huang was going in. He told reporters that NVIDIA and Korea have much to announce, and they are excellent partners waiting for him inside. So he hinted at some major announcements to come tomorrow, which would be today. So we'll keep our eyes on that.
Yes.
Huang also gifted Yi and Chung a bottle each of high-end Japanese single malt whiskey and the newest personal AI supercomputer from NVIDIA. So there were fans, or just people so many people
Yes.
around, and there were even people inside the restaurant. So they didn't just rent out the entire restaurant. The table next to them made them soju bombs, 폭탄주. And they did what we call the love shot, the
shot.
linking arms and that. And then Jensen Huang actually took out some chicken and like started sharing it with people outside. So very casual, very lighthearted dinner, as you can see. And here's my question though.
Yes.
If you are the CEO of the world's one of the most highly valued companies, one of the richest people in the world, who pays?
Do they pay?
Well, somebody
may
paid,
pay.
obviously.
Who pays?
Lee Jae-yong paid. Chairman Lee Jae-yong
Okay.
paid at the first round, and Chairman Jung Hee-sun said, I'll get the second round. And there was like a little golden bell inside the store, and Jensen Huang rang it saying, I'm getting everything for free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, would have been love to be a fly on that wall,
Right,
of that room
right.
somewhere. And so interesting.
Yeah,
And
what
I-
are we investing in now?
And by the way, like, you know, they might have been dressed casually, but probably, their one shirt is probably worth all of our outfits altogether.
Who knows? Yeah. It's all about the net worth.
Well, thank you for all the Woggly news, and we'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great weekend.
All right, everybody. I'll be back with your updated traffic and weather. It's now 8:15. Here's your traffic update. First up, there's an accident on 중앙대로 from Seomyeon to Bomnaekwol intersection. The accident is right before the Gwangbugyo Bridge. The top portion of Gwangan Bridge right now is backed up. It's congested on Pyeonglo from Kumsa intersection to Suyang Tunnel. It's also very busy on Mandokdaero from Miram intersection to the Mandok intersection. And currently, it is 15 degrees Celsius under partially cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 19. It is warmer, and rain is forecast for the central and Jeolla regions. Looking ahead to the weekend, crisp, clear fall weekend ahead. So tomorrow, you can expect a low of 10 and a high of 19. And on Sunday, same thing, a low of 10. However, the high will just go up to 16 degrees. This was your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your special interview. So we talk about AI quite a bit on our program. Well, we're going to take a different look, take a look at it from a different angle. Since the introduction of AI in the workplace, artificial intelligence, it has brought about many changes, some positive and some negative. According to a recent survey by the British talent network Nova, many members of Generation Z feel the need to seek advice from AI tools before communicating with their colleagues. So nearly 45% of Gen Z workers now rely on AI to prepare for professional conversations. The study points out that even in a hyper-connected world, authentic communication is increasingly rare. Today, we're going to explore this growing dependence on AI among younger generations and its broader implications with our expert. So today we have Professor James Hudson, Professor and Department Head of Art History, AI, and Visual Culture, and Head of Human-Centered AI Research at Lindenwood University. Hi, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So to begin, what does this growing reliance on AI say about how Gen Z communicates and connect with others in the modern workplace?
Well, we need to first realize what Gen Z experienced and how that's different from previous generations. So born between 1997 and 2012, we're talking about a generation that no matter the span of it, lived through COVID. And so their communication styles were asynchronous, they were digital, they were mediated by electronic media. And they're also the first generation to not know what it's like to live without social media. If you remember Facebook Facebook launched in 2006. The first iPhone came out 2007, right? So even the youngest of them do not remember a time without this being how we communicated. So we need to think about what they lived through and then the expectations that they had coming into work. And one of the most important things to remember about Gen Z is they are coming into the workplace at the worst time in the last 200 years economically, right? So they were told and were educated in how to communicate asynchronously and through digital media, reframing what does it mean to actually communicate authentically, right, in this way. And it's a generational understanding as well. Remember that by 2030, 10,000 baby boomers per day are going to reach retirement age. So we're about to see a shift in what we mean by authentic communication in the workplace.
I see. So even how we view authentic communication might shift, you're saying. So when we talk about these younger workers, Professor, is it safe to say that they might feel more comfortable talking to AI or, typing something into AI rather than having these, truer conversations with real people, with their colleagues?
Sure. Well, that's twofold as far as the answer. I don't know many of my colleagues who don't, if they have a difficult email to write and or have a situation where they might have to reprimand one of their employees, that they didn't go to AI first and run through the scenarios of how that might be taken. What would be the best way to approach it, et cetera. And so that's kind of a standard practice now as far as running that through various AI tools in order to refine the communication. And remember that we need to think about what do we mean by authentic communication, right? And the different types of communication. So most of communication in the workplace is transactional. That being, I need to communicate something to give someone information to add value to a given workflow, right? In this way. So the majority of it doesn't need the quote unquote authentic type of raw communication that you would have had earlier. But secondly, this generation is also being told that they have to use AI, right? That being, this is the last generation, right, that's raised without AI, right? So they're coming out into the workplace. I call them the lost generation because they're the last one to be raised under a certain set of expectations. That being, you work hard, you do everything that's going to be authentic as far as assessment. You get, a degree in programming or coding, and you're going to have a six-figure salary, right? And what is one of the highest unemployment rates among Gen Z? Computer science majors, right? So that being completely the opposites. They have a love-hate relationship with technology, but they're also told, reading the headlines, that if they don't have AI skills, if they can't effectively use the technology, then they have no competitive edge.
What about on the flip side, though, for people who might lack social skills because of too much of a heavy reliance on AI or things like that?
Sure. And at the same time, we have to remember that this argument goes back in every generation. That being, when the telegraph was invented, the previous generation who didn't live through the telegraph lamented the fact that the young people could only communicate in very short sentences, right, and lost the ability to have long, very voluminous, right, messages to one another via like letter writing. So this is not new. It's just what social skills are in the digital era, and the expectations have changed. And so where you might have a one-on-one meeting to understand another person's point of view or discuss something with a direct report, etc. That's not really, that doesn't really generate value, right, in this era of speed and connectivity. What I continually explain to people when they lament the fact that Gen Z supposedly can't read an entire book is, when have we given them incentive to show them that reading an entire book is of value in the workplace? What's of value is going through multiple portals. I have 3 screens right now and multiple apps open. And so what is of value is going back and forth, gathering and extracting the useful data from each one, compiling it and making it useful, right, and generate ROI for your employer. So what social skills is evolving, but you're right that being AI can be both mirror and mask, right? So it can, once again, help them prepare. So anytime I go into, an economic development council or an academic conference, I always have it run through my lines with me, that being, here's what we're going to say. I'm going to give the presentation. You give me feedback. Right, in order to be the best I can be on the day, right? So that's how they're using it as well. So 67% of them this last year in a McKinsey report ran their emails through, the various AI platforms in order to get feedback before sending it. But that's also what we're doing, right? So that being Gen X, right? All of my middle management colleagues do the exact same thing. So it's really about the changing expectations of what authenticity is in the digital world.
I see. And some people might actually say, hey, this might, interacting with AI and using AI as a tool can actually enhance communication, especially for those who might be a little shy or anxious, to help them express themselves better?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of neurodivergent studies. Once my son was diagnosed with autism, we really dug into how technology can support neurodivergent individuals, dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, autism, and otherwise introverts, which, by the way, we should point out that introverts make up roughly half of the population, whereas we have reward systems that primarily favor extroverts, which is just half of the population, right? So yes, that being the tools do assist in helping them gain confidence, right? Because they're very affirmational, right? They're very supportive, and they offer concrete, if you tell them to, and you make that explicit, right? I want constructive criticism in what I'm presenting to you. Tell me how to make it better. Tell me how this might come off with this audience that I'm going to be talking to. And so, yes, it can. Again, on the flip side, as you were mentioning, if we completely automate and hand off, cognitive offloading is what it's called. If we hand off, right, everything that we are doing, right, to an external digital tool, then of course it's the tool talking for us, right, and not, if you want to say authentically, our integrations with it. So the main confusion there is iteration, that being what is the prompt that's being used, what is being fed into it, how is the user taking what comes out and then iteratively working with it, refining it, making it better, editing it, etc. That's kind of the difference and the misunderstanding in using AI, is most people think you just put in one command and then you just send it, right? So this generation is going back and forth, and they have a very love-hate relationship with the technology, right? So it's 50-50. It really is, as far as them adopting it and those that don't, from our recent studies.
I see. And when we look at professionals and, of course, young professionals as well, how can we, generally speaking, really use these AI tools to optimally, get our point across, to be very constructive in what we're trying to say in our message, but at the same time, for the lack of a better word, authentic, meaning being true to myself and not just using the AI tool to sound like somebody that doesn't really sound like me.
Sure, capture your authentic voice. Absolutely. Yes. So that was the big complaint from 2023 to 2024, is you could immediately spot AI writing. It all was homogenous. It all looked the same. It was very generic. And that's because the tools aim for a center mode, right? So they aim for the most common response statistically that you're looking for. And so what we're seeing now, in the past year, they turned on history. So it remembers the interactions you've had with it. So knowingly or not, if you're signed into even free versions, it's learning from how you talk, how you respond. I actually wrote, I said, no, generate a response to this message. And it actually stated, okay, let's meet. I'm generally free from this hour to this hour. I didn't tell it that. It actually had gone through and figured what times I most often have meetings. So as far as authentic, what we're doing and what's happening with the more that we engage with the technologies and train it, we're really making clones of ourselves, right? In this way, that being, it's becoming more and more specialized and being trained on our own personalities, our own psychology, etc. And so, but you are right. Most people don't think about that, and they're not consciously, attempting to do that. So this just back to the same thing as well. I mean, we've had predictive text for years, right? Anytime someone sends you a text, it says, here, you can hit this to respond. It's been in our email, right? So Microsoft and Google, that being someone sends you something and it says, okay, thank you very much. Do you want to use this one, or this one? Right. So we've had these automated ways to respond for quite a while. It just depends upon how much we want to maintain that type of control over our messaging.
Yes, yes. I want to touch upon something that you kind of just said in passing, but about the free version versus the paid version of AI tools. Is there a big difference coming from somebody who uses the free versions? Is there a major difference? And I'm sure many of our listeners, they're curious too.
There is absolutely a difference. Otherwise, you would not be willing to pay for it. So,
Okay.
So each one of the major platforms, everything from Google Gemini to OpenAI's ChatGPT to again Claude from Anthropic, etc. They all generally have 3 tiers. There's technically 4 tiers if we think of the enterprise version. But you have the free version, right? That gives you a limited number of interactions that you have with it. The second one's the plus version, in which it gives you a bit more functionality. So you might be deep research, 4 times or 10 times. You might be able to use agent mode maybe 2 times a week. And then you have the pro version that I have, in which it's pretty much unlimited. So so the difference is functionality. That being most people are using, including a lot of federal employees I found out here in the States, are just using it basically as a search engine like Google, right? So that's how they're just asking it questions,
Yes.
right? But the versions that you pay for, such as Deep Research Pro, which has advanced reasoning, can solve PhD level math problems and STEM problems that are quantitative, as far as being correct, with physics, etc. But it also has agent mode, which is the ability to give it control of your computer and your terminal, and it creates websites. It can create an app for you. It can do anything. Right? And so the average user might have 2 of those a week, right? I have 400. Right. So so just the capacity for output. Right. I do basically the work of a dozen employees as far as output is concerned. Right. So it's how you use the tools, but there is definitely a difference, right? Both quantitatively and qualitatively between the experience with the paid tools.
I see. And as we wrap up our conversation today, Professor, what do you want to leave us with? Because, of course, some people, they really like using the AI tools. Other people, they're so a little skeptical about the authenticity. So what would you say to wrap up?
Sure. I mean, as with every technological advancement, the difference with this one is that we're moving at warp speed. It's just much more rapid, much more intense, or if you look at any technological wave that's come before us. And so what we would really want people to take away would be that this is not going to erase humanity. This does not innately erase one's voice. It's how one uses the tools, and those authentically human skills are what employers value more now, because if it's existing information, the tools can output, collate, and reorganize it any way that you ask. It's coming up with new ideas, creative solutions, being empathetic with other human beings, being able to see other points of view, talk across difference. We're in different countries right now, so the ability for communication, right, in this way is incredibly valuable.
Yes.
So using AI not to replace that, but to assist people in developing those skills is what they should be doing.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and opinions with our listeners. I hope you have a wonderful day. And by the way, I love that stormtrooper that was behind you. People were commenting on it.
No, thank you. My daughter uses that in K2SO, another one of the robots from the franchise, and she plays dolls with them. And
Oh,
so,
really?
very often are mommy and daddy, right? And will Yeah, so they'll play house. But yeah, thank you for noticing.
All right. Take care, Professor. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, everybody. This was our special interview with Professor James Hudson, giving us his opinions and his expertise on the Gen Z workers, but people in general, how we can communicate with and without AI. This was our special interview. Let's get to our next song. This is You're the Sunshine of My Life by Stevie Wonder.
You came to my rescue, and I know that this must be heaven. How could so much love be inside of you? Oh, you are the sunshine of my life, yeah. That's why
Oh, what a great song. And I was having fun reading some of your comments actually during the special interview because most of you were chiming in about how you thought that the professor was making some great points, but also that people are a little worried about the whole AI issue, whether we're relying on it too much. Is it taking up too much of our time? Are we being kind of consumed by it, whether you have the free version or the paid version, as the professor was pointing out? I'll admit, I just use the free version. I don't use it too often, but other people are chiming in saying it's a great tool. Others are saying, well, is that really you? Meaning like your authentic, true self. So I think these are really good questions that we can be asking of ourselves. And then, how much of it do you use these AI programs in your daily lives? Do you use it for every single sentence that you write, every, utterance that you're going to make? Do you check and double check? Is that really you? Is that really us? Just food for thought. Anyhow, we're going to get to global affairs. It's time for Global Affairs. We have 안교수님, Professor Andrew Millard in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I love the gold tie.
Yes, I have a nice gold tie today.
Yes.
No dogs today.
No dogs. No crown for you.
No. Oh, that's exactly why I brought it, Catherine.
Oh, really?
So where is my crown?
I don't
Come
know.
on.
Here's the invisible crown.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, our producer, she left it in her car. Your gold crown.
Well,
so.
I'll pick it up next week.
Yes.
But no, I did wear this because Donald Trump has been in town.
So
really? So it's a sort of a nod, not to Donald Trump himself, but just to the whole situation.
Yes, the situation.
Yes.
So I have a feeling we're going to be talking about APEC.
You may have heard of it. Yes, it's APEC. But before we do that,
yes.
I want to ask, where is my stormtrooper?
Oh, I don't know.
We need a stormtrooper, and there was a British telephone box as well.
Oh, I know. On the left side,
On the
his
other
left.
side,
Right.
yes.
I forgot to ask him about that.
Oh,
so
PD
unimportant.
Neem's going to have a busy week. a crown, a stormtrooper,
and
a telephone box.
so busy. So let's dive in. Are we going to be talking about that little summit that shall be happening?
No, so I thought rather than talk about the summits, and there's going to be quite a few today and then tomorrow, the next few days.
Yes.
Just really maybe talk about what is APEC. Because also last week there was ASEAN.
Yes.
This is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations meeting.
Right.
That was a very important one. So sort of what is the difference between ASEAN and APEC? So I thought we'd sort of take a bit of a look at that.
Here we go.
So APEC versus ASEAN. So ASEAN is sort of more of, this was started in 1967 with the Bangkok Declaration. Right now it has 11 members. They just added a new one.
Yes.
ASEAN is sort of, it's an economic group, but also covers political issues and security issues.
Yes.
And dialogue. So a lot of people, and I think Donald Trump also criticized it as being a sort of, there's just a lot of talk. But this has been a criticism by many people for a long time.
Okay.
That it's a talk shop. They talk a lot, but no real action takes place. Whereas APEC, it's focused much more just on the economic cooperation.
Right.
So there's slightly different sort of systems. And of course, ASEAN is focused more on Southeast Asia and Northeast Asia as well through the +3. Whereas APEC covers the whole entire Pacific region.
Which is
including
pretty big. Yeah.
North America, Central South America as well. So it's a very wide body.
But some people might be wondering, they've been hearing about, the entire APEC week that kicked off on Monday. It's going to, end tomorrow. But what exactly does APEC do?
APEC, well, right now we'll start with the basics, 21 member states throughout Asia Pacific. It started in 1989, initially with 12 members.
Sure.
So it wasn't too small. Korea and China were part of the founding group. Korea and the US.
Yes.
China joined in 1991. And then the last members to join were Russia, Vietnam, and Peru back in 1998. Doesn't include North Korea.
That's correct.
So that's one of sort of at the moment, I would say the crucial piece is missing. But again, that sort of fits in because it's more the economic cooperation.
Right.
And North Korea is sort of outside of sort of global economic markets.
Yes.
So that would make sense.
Okay.
And they do have a permanent secretariat.
Where is it?
It's based in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to visit?
I would love. Singapore is so beautiful.
I'll send an AI email.
Okay. And I will give you an AI response.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So what does this economic group do, APEC?
Well, simple answer. It basically promotes economic cooperation.
Okay.
That's
Which
what it
is important.
Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation.
Yeah, in the name.
So it really is probably one of the most important sort of keys in terms of international relations. You get those economic relations going first, and then through sort of functionalism and spillover effects, then you sort of branch into more political areas, and then the more sensitive like security areas and other global issues, which maybe are a little harder to work out. So they advance cooperation in trade, economic issues. They push for generally common regulations, which is very important, especially as we're globalizing.
Yes.
We need more sort of standardization. So when we export goods from Korea to Malaysia, and Malaysia to Vietnam, and Vietnam to Peru, if we have very similar standards, for example, customs regulations, it just makes everything much easier. So those transaction costs, which we're talking money, and then also time.
Oh, yes.
If we can reduce both of those, everything is just much more efficient.
Right.
So that's really one of the main things they do. But they also, with that, we have these what we call movements.
Yes.
So this is also very true for the European Union. And I think Asia, especially ASEAN, to be honest, has really sort of learned from the Europeans who for 50 years, 70 years now, they've been promoting the free movement of people, which means we can cross borders much easier without the need for visas and things like that. Free movement of goods. So again, when we cross borders, we're not paying these extra taxes, which is again very important. So again, ASEAN has focused on creating this sort of free economic area.
Yes.
APEC, I think they're a little bit behind, but they're pushing for that.
Yes.
Also services and capital, so investment. We want these free movements. Again, just to make everything much, to be honest, cheaper and much more efficient.
You keep on saying free movement, but I'm thinking, the big elephant in the room was all the tariffs for
So this is
several months. Yes.
So I think an important point that not many people have been talking about, at least the people I've been speaking with and the reports I've seen, the fact that Donald Trump has been and gone, I think is a very good thing because that sort of sets the tone for the rest of the week. We know now there is a potential China-US agreement.
Yes.
We know there's a potential Korea-US agreement. So those sort of big question marks, they've now gone. That sort of dark cloud has disappeared.
That's true.
And now America's not here. The rest of APEC, the other 20 members who are going to be here, they can now sort of sit down and say, how can we improve free trade? How can we reduce those tariff barriers? And so on.
Yes,
I think that's really a good thing that actually he's already been and went, in my opinion. So there we go. In terms of decision making, this is also a very important point. So generally around different organizations and in international relations, we have different types of decision making. It can either be through unanimity, which means every member must agree.
But isn't that tough?
This is very difficult to get unanimity. If one state says, actually, no, we don't want to do this, we're not going to vote yes, then nothing can happen.
Right.
Which, again, in some cases in the past has happened. It's happened in Europe for a couple of years. So that's difficult. The positive, though, is if everyone does agree, this means you really make big steps forward.
I see.
Because everybody is fully on board with it. The other one is majority, which is, it depends on the situation. Could be simple majority, so 50% plus one, or a 2/3 majority. In the EU, it's what we call QMV, which is qualified majority, which is more complicated. Maybe we could do that next week.
Maybe.
That'd be interesting. It's not. It's just complicated. And again, that's a pretty good way because, again, you're still getting at least the majority of people who really want to do it. But it also sort of means that one or two can say no and it still happens. What happens in APEC and also in ASEAN is what we call consensus. So consensus is similar to unanimity in that everybody is saying yes. However, there's no binding effect. So even if countries say, if everyone else wants to do it, we'll go along, we'll follow you. But they don't have to do anything.
I see.
And this is what, again, APEC ASEAN uses to make their decisions. And it's, in my opinion, it's a good way to sort of get the general idea of where people want to go. But because it's non-binding, often you find nothing actually happens. Those states who want to do it may go ahead, but you have a lot of states that don't. So you have, especially in Asia, a lot of issues like climate change and also security issues, where Again, some states, maybe for financial reasons, just because some of these issues take a huge amount of resource to resolve, to overcome, they just end up not doing it.
I see.
So I think that's one of the sort of the weaknesses of this system.
Yes. So with APEC, the actual, the highlight being today and tomorrow, obviously building up to today and tomorrow, what do you think are going to be some of the major challenges facing the economies of APEC? Because it's not necessarily as concentrated, like, some associations are about like member states, but we're talking about like, these are economies, right? So that's what it's based on. So what do you think? What do you think are going to be the major challenges?
Well, so I think you already mentioned already the tariffs. This one is really the key issue at the moment. But like I said, most of these tariff issues are based with the US, and a lot of uncertainty about how the US. What level of percent? So I think Malaysia just signed the agreement for 19%, whereas Japan was 15%, Korea was 15%. Each country's slightly different.
Yes.
I don't know how he chooses these numbers.
I don't either.
But it's a mystery. Maybe we should ask him back.
Oh, really?
Bring him back into this studio.
That would be nice.
Or we could go to Kimei Airport and meet him there.
Yes.
Yeah, we could
Why
do
not?
that.
Why not?
So anyway, tariffs is going to be a big one, but also other issues like healthcare. So this has been one they've been talking about.
Sure.
So again, like the COVID-19 pandemic, if there was another pandemic, how could they together react quickly? Climate change, disaster resilience, which is actually something that ASEAN has been doing, and generally across Asia, there has been good cooperation,
on
good
that?
coordination. But it does require, again, a lot of resources, a lot of technical cooperation. But it's very important for the economy. Terrorism, AI, as you've just been talking about, this is becoming a very important issue, and one that, as we've mentioned a few weeks ago, President Lee, he's very eager to push South Korea as being one of the leaders in setting AI regulations.
Indeed.
Like
Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap on our conversation for today, but thanks for going into the nitty-gritty of what APEC actually is and what they do and how they reach consensus. And of course, we look forward to our next conversation next week.
Okay, see you next week.
But not on that topic, right?
Not on that topic, no. Different topic.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was Professor Andrew Millard. We're going to call it a day for not just today, for the entire week. Wishing you a wonderful weekend. And this is Way Back Into Love. This is by Hugh Grant, Haley Bennett. Enjoy. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
I've been living with a shadow overhead. I've been sleeping with a cloud above my bed. I've been lonely for so long. Trapped in the past, I just can't seem to move on.
I've been hiding all my hopes and dreams away, just in case I ever need them again someday. I've been setting aside time to clear a little space in the corners of my mind. All I wanna do is find a way back into love. I can't make it through without a way back into love. I've been watching, but the stars refuse to shine. I've been searching, but I just don't see the signs. I know that it's out there. There's gotta be something for my soul somewhere. I've been looking for someone to shed some light, not somebody just to get me through the night. I could use some direction, and I'm open to your suggestions.